Welcome to the Mike Litton Experience Podcast. Mike has over 31 years experience in real estate, finance, and investing. He's passionate about being a father, a teacher, a realtor, an investor, and a leader. Everyone has a story, and our passion is to help them tell it. And now, introducing the host of the Mike Litton Experience, Mike Litton.
So what can you expect from the Mike Litton Experience? You can expect stories that will inspire, motivate, advice that will sharpen your focus, and expert information on real estate, finance, and market conditions. Melissa Drake, thank you so much for being our guest on the Mike Litton Experience. I cannot thank you enough for taking the time out to do this. I am so excited to be on with you and to have our listeners learn your story. I know for a fact that it's going to inspire and motivate them. So like we talked about before we hit record, everybody has a story and our passion is to help them tell it. So with your permission, we'll start with where you were born. We'll go all the way up to today. I may ask you a few questions as we go, right? We'll go up to today, and then we'll talk about what you're working on today. I know you're a best-selling author, and I know that you're also a coach. I am thoroughly excited to get coached up today. I'm ready. Throw me in, coach. Okay. All right. So let's talk about, first of all, where you were born.
I was born in Des Moines, Iowa.
Ooh.
Yeah. Pretty exciting. Right in the middle of the Midwest. Yeah. And I enjoyed it there. I lived there my whole life, 5 houses the entire time, through marriage, divorce, single parenting, all of that, until I was 44, 45. Yeah. And then I moved to Southern California.
So where'd you go to high school?
I went to Valley High School, which is just like it sounds. It's the snobby rich Valley High School. Unfortunately, I probably was snobby, but I wasn't rich. Yeah. And didn't really enjoy it all that much. Yeah. But I had to work a lot to be able to keep up with my friends. Like I had 3 jobs and did the extracurricular activities and all that kind of stuff. But it's a good school. It's definitely.
So did you have a favorite subject?
Probably English, actually semantics.
Okay.
Which is very appropriate considering I'm an author. I didn't even know what it was when I signed up for the class. Right. But then when I heard it was about words, like I really got into it, and I'm definitely a lover of words.
Yeah.
So that
being a best-selling
author. I also liked home ec. I did lots of home ec kind of stuff, the female stuff.
Gotcha. So growing up, who was the most influential person in your life?
I would have to say it was my mother.
Mm-hmm.
She was a very strong leader. She was she worked in the insurance industry. Mm-hmm. So it was no surprise that I followed in her footsteps. She was very much the man of the house, though. Like she very much took care of everything. And I'm currently trying to unlearn that. But she was very loving. Yeah. And like all of the cousins, she was the favorite of everyone. She was funny, a little raunchy every now and then, and just a really cool person. Everybody loved her.
Sounds like fun.
Yeah, she was. Even when she passed, we had people from the pharmacy she went to sent cards. Even the service people missed her when she passed.
Oh, that's sweet.
Yeah.
So after high school, where did you go?
I went to college briefly. I wanted to be a teacher. And my very first day of college at the community college, we went around and everybody said what they wanted to do. And legit, all of the women said teachers. And I was like, I don't want to do that anymore.
Okay.
And then I was only there maybe a semester, a year tops. And then I started working full time at age 19 in the insurance industry. I got a very $6 an hour entry-level job in the accounting department, and ended up staying there for 25 years in the industry not that specific company. I only had 3 employers, but for 25 years, I worked my way up through the ranks of the insurance company, got my degree much later. I was in my 30s when I got my degree, and ultimately had a very nice job. I was a director reporting to the CEO. And in 2015, my position was eliminated.
Oh
They
my
brought
gosh.
in a new CEO and we're doing a bunch of changes, and I was one of the cuts.
Where'd you go to
And
college?
say it again. Des Moines Area Community College is
Okay.
where I started. And then I graduated from, I went to so many, like, it was so funny because I would take a class here or there and then just drop out. Because I got married and I had kid and
Yeah.
all of that, but I ended
Life,
up
life got in the
graduating.
way. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, it was William Penn College for Working Adults.
Oh, okay.
They had a great program where if you get in, you're kind of stuck. Like, you can't really get out. It
Mhm.
was a 2-year program and you're with the same cohort, the whole time. And it provided that structure that I needed to keep me on track, because when I was just taking a class here or there, it was really easy to say, I'm going to take a semester off,
Yeah.
and then it's 5 years later.
Yeah. Like the
So when I
Hotel
signed up,
California.
pardon me?
Like the Hotel California,
Exactly.
right?
Yes. You're in, like, you're never leaving. Like, you're never leaving until you
But that
graduate.
helps, when you have
I
that sort
needed
of
it.
regiment, it
Yes.
helps because
Yep.
it's like, okay, I have to do this, right?
Exactly. And the group component, I didn't want to let my cohort down. So
Yeah.
we had a lot of group projects and all of that. So I was accountable to my team members, which
Yeah.
is much different than just being in a class here or there. And
Yeah,
it's
that's
different.
wonderful too. The
Yeah.
collaboration and everything. Yeah.
Oh, collaboration is my heart. Yeah, it really is. So it
Yeah, I
was
can
great.
tell.
Thank you.
So your position gets eliminated. Then what happens?
Then I took a pause.
Yeah.
And I honestly, like, I wrote about this in the Orgasmic Entrepreneur. I knew that insurance wasn't, I had gone to see a healer,
Mhm.
and she asked me, she said, do you know that 100% of your heart is invested in your work? Are you sure insurance is where you want to invest your heart? And I was like, oh,
Wow.
hell no.
Oh,
Like,
how powerful was that?
it was huge. It was
Oh my goodness.
massive.
Now, who is
Yeah.
this person? Who is this person that you talked to that
I
said
don't
that
even
to you?
remember her name. It's been so many years ago. But it was someone that I saw in Iowa, a healer
That's
that I
like
saw.
life changing.
It was 100% life changing.
Did that rock your world or what?
Kind of, like, I knew that I was gonna go, but I was also really comfortable. Like,
Yeah.
I had a cushy job and I was making good money and I didn't really want to do anything. And it's an effort to find a new job,
Oh,
right?
sure.
And so I was just kind of waiting. So when it happened, I was like, okay, this is my lead from the universe. This is
Right.
that blessing in disguise. And I knew at the time that it wasn't even in disguise.
Yeah.
So I was almost elated when it happened, because I'm not sure I would have had the make the change on my own.
Yeah.
Same thing with my marriage. Like, I was miserable. I had written a letter to my husband saying, I'm just, this isn't working. But I didn't have the balls or the mentorship or the know-how to leave on my own.
Yeah.
So when he left, I was like, oh, thank you.
Oh,
And
wow.
so that's how it felt with my job. I was like, oh, okay, thank you. And because it was a position at elimination with 10 years under my belt, I had a decent severance package. I didn't have to do anything. And I was also severely sick
Oh.
at the time. I had 2 really yucky chronic illnesses
Oh.
and I had to have surgery. So I was waiting for surgery. And I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to get healthy. I started volunteering for hospice because both my parents had lost their lives and were cared for in hospice.
Yeah.
And I also had really struggled with mental health.
Yeah.
So when it happened, I was like, well, if I could do anything in the world, I would write and help people with mental health issues. And so that's what I said about doing. I've kind of come a long way around it.
Yeah.
But I ended up joining a coaching organization in Los Angeles, and I did it mostly for my own healing. I
Yeah.
had been through therapy and, done all the things I mentioned. I was severely, severely depressed, especially after I lost my parents. There was a period of about 7 years where I didn't do anything except go to work.
Hmm.
And then I would come home and go to bed.
Was this in Des Moines or out here?
When I was in Des Moines. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So I would go to work and I was amazing at work. I got the great reviews and nobody knew anything.
Yeah.
In fact, my boss, I didn't join Facebook for the longest time because my boss was on Facebook,
Yeah.
and I didn't want anyone to know what my life looked like outside of work
Right.
because it was miserable. And my son was growing up and I was in bed, like I was grieving, and I was heavily medicated, and it was yucky. So when I started this coaching organization, it was really more for my own healing. And when I got in there, the leader said something that just really stuck with me. He said, "Your story is your gold."
Yeah.
And, we think about all this stuff that we go through and how challenging it is. And it's hard to imagine that being a blessing.
Yeah.
But it is.
Yeah, it is. We've been talking about this a lot because we've been talking to a lot of people that have gone through a lot of just enormous struggles, right?
Yep.
And people, it's so we go to work every day, do what we do. We're around people, we see people, we ask them how they're doing, we say hi, all that kind of thing, right? And everybody gives you pretty much the answer that's the politically correct answer, right? Oh, I'm fine.
Right.
I'm good, whatever, right? But they're suffering. And
Yeah.
you're literally explaining that you went through that for a 7-year period where you were suffering, but you put on a good face and you went to work and you did what you had to do every day and all that, right? But then you came home, and when you came home, it was like, okay, now it's real.
Yeah.
Right. And so I was actually literally on social media the other day going, I don't know who needs to hear this, but tell somebody that you see today that they're doing a good job, pat them on the back.
Yeah.
Because people suffer.
It goes a long way.
They don't, you don't know, right? I mean, I had gone out that morning with my family, and I walked up to this kid that I've seen for 3 years. And I walked up to him, off the night, I walked up to him and I put my arm around him. I said, "You're doing a good job, bud." He nearly stared crying.
I bet.
And it was,
enough of that.
you don't know what's going on. I mean, on the surface, it looked like he was fine.
Exactly. That's exactly what it looked like.
But you just don't know. You never know. And so I was trying to get the word out that we need to love each other.
Yeah.
We just need to love each other. We just need to be willing to say hi. We need to be willing to smile. We need to be willing to be an uplifter around people. Because you just never
And
know.
people are so hungry for it.
Yeah, they really are.
Yeah.
They really are. They're almost desperate,
Yep.
And it's, we were talking earlier today about the power of questions, and questions pull things, they pull stories out of people. They pull that gold you're talking about.
Yeah.
They pull that out of them, right?
Yeah.
And, we were talking about how people have something in here and it feels this big.
Yeah.
Right? Feels like it's overwhelming, like they can't
Yes.
carry it anymore.
Right.
And then they talk about it to somebody, and after they do it, they kind of go, their shoulders drop, right? And they just they look almost euphoric, and then they look at you and go, wow, that doesn't seem so big now that I said it.
Yes.
Get people to say it, right? Pull it out of them. If there's any way to do it, be that vessel that can pull it out of them. Yeah, I just love your story. So 7 years, right? And then you get into coaching, and coaching the coach tells you that your story is gold, right?
And then I stopped. Well, even before that, like before our coaching, I joined Facebook. The Facebook is a thing that changed my life more than anything.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Including a cross-country move. Like, and again, I was very hesitant to join because I didn't want anyone to know the truth.
Yeah.
And just like what you just said, once you share that truth, it diminishes.
Yeah.
So that's what happened for me when I joined Facebook. I joined a bunch of private groups, closed groups, mostly geared around depression because that's where I was at.
Yeah.
And I saved lives with my words.
Wow.
And my life was saved by someone else's words time and time again. And so I just built this really beautiful community on Facebook. And then I met someone, I was in an empty nest moms group because I was unique in that even as a single mom, I hated for my son to be gone. Like it was always a challenge for him to be gone. But by the time graduation rolled around, I was the opposite of most moms that are like, oh, I can't wait for my, it's going to be terrible when my son leaves. I was like, bye-bye. It's time for you to go. Like I was so ready for him to go because I needed a break. Like I was really suffering. So I had joined this empty nest moms group and I met my friend Lori, who happened to live near me, and we started dancing. And we formed this group of moms, empty nest moms, who would dance. And I got to the point where like every Friday night, even if my friends weren't going, I had to go dancing. Like it
What kind
was
of dancing?
just shake it off kind of dancing, like 80s music, old people
Ooh.
music. And I
Ooh,
went
I
to this,
love it.
yeah, this
That's
bar.
my kind of music.
Oh, it's amazing. Yeah. There's this bar in Iowa called Denny Arthur's, and it was originally started as Arthur's Over 30.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to call it Arthur's Over 80 because there were literally 80-year-olds that would go there and just dance. And I loved watching them. And I got to the point where I had to go myself, and I didn't realize it at the time. But what was happening is when I was dancing, it was one of the few times I was actually present and in my body.
Mm-hmm.
I spent so much of my life dissociated
Mm-hmm.
and just like in my head about everything that when I was dancing, I was actually in my body. And that was so grounding for me.
Yeah.
So that's really the thing that saved me. And I'm not sure I would have done it had I not met those friends on Facebook.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah. Like as
So cool.
much as people want to blame social media for the ills of the world, and there are plenty of them, it was literally a life changer for me.
Yeah, well, so Facebook brings people together, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
it
I've had clients, friends, people I've interviewed, right? That they found a lost love that they had in high school.
Yes.
A good buddy of mine found a former girlfriend, right? And they ended up getting married. And
How awesome.
right. I mean, and it's some of these stories are just like, they're just amazing. You sit with
Yep.
them, they tell you that, they never really knew happiness since their high school sweetheart. Now they're married to that high school sweetheart and they know what happiness is. You know what I mean? It's like,
Yep.
it's so cool to kind of watch their life go full circle, So
Absolutely.
yeah, there are a lot of things about Facebook and social media that are positive. I agree with you.
Yep. So
So what
that
made
was a
you
godsend to me.
decide to move to California? Am I getting too far ahead?
Nope, you're good. So it was funny. In 2012, my son and I came out to California, and this is when I was still employed. And my son was like, I'm gonna live here. And I was like, no way. I will never live here. It was just no way. The traffic, the people. Well, the reality is that California was way too fast paced for where I was.
Yeah.
Because remember, I'm in bed, I'm heavily medicated and like out of my mind most of the time.
Yeah.
So I was like, there's just no way I mean, even the week we were here, I took a nap every single day. I was just so exhausted.
Yeah.
And after I lost my job, I joined that company and I came out here to visit. And I just fell in love with the way that I feel in California. It's a completely different vibration. It's a different culture. The diversity is amazing. The weather, I mean, it was just like, I feel great in California. So I came out here the following year. I spent a month on the road and traveled to California and back. And then my mind was made up. I'm like, okay, I have to do this. And so I lived in my home for almost 20 years. I sold my home. I moved out here with only the stuff that would fit in my vehicle, with really not even a plan. But I was like, I am going to make it in California. And there were some years where I really made it and I did awesome. And some where I didn't, but I'm still here.
Yeah. And when did you move out to California?
2017. I left on Independence Day. Like it was
Okay.
very fitting
So it's
for me.
been, yeah, so this year it'll be 7 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you've been out here 6.5 years, basically.
Yep. Best move I ever made. And the best thing that I think, I can't remember if this is the article I shared with you or not, but when I left, my son had broken his ankle. And he was in, he couldn't walk, couldn't drive, like for 90 days, he was really struggling. And my family was like, are you gonna still go to California? And I'm like, I don't have a place to live. I sold my home and
Right.
I'm gonna go.
Yeah.
So before I went, I sat down and had a big conversation with my son, and we've always been able to talk. We've been very close. And I was like, so I know it feels weird that I'm leaving now when you need me, but I need to do this for me. Like the example I saw of motherhood was mothers who gave up their dreams.
Yeah.
And mothers who martyred themselves for everyone else's needs. And I need to do this because I want to show you what it looks like to follow your dreams. I want you to know that you can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
And he was like, I respect the F out of you for that.
That is so cool.
It was the best
so
response
cool.
I could have gotten. So I moved out here, and then less than a year later he came out.
Mm-hmm.
He moved here too. He's doing amazing in his career. Like in his first year, he surpassed what it took me 25 years to build in the corporate world.
Wow.
He met the love of his life. He's engaged. I call him the happiest man I know. Like he's really doing awesome. And he'll tell you, he's like, if you hadn't done it, I wouldn't have had a clue that I could.
Yeah. Well, sometimes, we have to lead people, right? And it's through our actions that we lead them, not
Exactly.
through our words.
Yes.
Right? So they have to see us. We hope you enjoyed another episode of the Mike Litton Experience. If you did, do us a favor, smash that subscribe button, tell your friends, family, and coworkers about our program, and wherever you get your podcasts, please leave us a rating. It helps us to connect with quality people just like you.
And that's a wrap. Another episode of the Mike Litton Experience in the books. Reach out to Mike on Instagram at Litton Realty. Want to meet with Mike? Check out calendly.com/Rio760.